All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Media's live show, episode 33. It's a new year, new season. We got a couple things to talk about. Uh, uh, this week, we actually released the first of 9 podcasts that we're doing. We do have the next two recorded. We've already recorded volumes 2 and 3. And I'll be working on those soon. But we also have a shipping podcast, just Dude and I, that I will be working on first because I really need to make sure that that gets done before Valentine's Day. Really, that's my big priority. Uh, but we do have some new shows, some returning shows. It's actually kind of insane the amount of shows that are coming back this season. Most of which are things that like I don't actually watch. Like what's I'm gonna actually look up this anime season. Kind of give a bit of a rundown because I didn't do that last week. So I was so preoccupied with why dinosaurs last week. Winter 2026 anime. So we have two shows I'm watching already are Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3. Jujutsu Kaisen's back, obviously. That's probably the big one that everyone's going to be talking about. The cooling games are beginning. This is an arc. We'll talk about this later. But this is an arc that JJK fans are really excited to see be brought to life. And I am very happy with what we got in the first 2 episodes. There's also You Can't Be in a Rom-Com with Your Childhood Friends. We'll talk more on that later. I watched the first 2 episodes of that. There's also My Hero Academia Vigilante Season 2. I'll be checking that out in the next few days. Let's see, Hell's Paradise Season 2. I didn't watch Hell's Paradise Season 1, so I'm not as familiar with that, but that's one people are excited for. Trigun Stargaze, I am not interested in that. It's the sequel to Trigun Stampede, and I fucking hated that show. I think Trigun Stampede is awful, and anybody who likes it is delusional. What else do we got here that I recognize? Fire Force Season 3 Part 2. I'm not a Fire Force fan. I never really gave it a fair shot. I don't really like the art style. Every clip I've seen of it is like, okay, whatever. Chain Soldier Season 2. I might check that one out. I did watch Chain Soldier Season 1. I wasn't a fan. It was ecchi, like it was fine for being an ecchi, trashy show, but it also looked fucking ugly as sin. I don't like the way that show looks overall. Oshinoko Season 3. People love Oshinoko. I never watched it, but that's a big one. And then of course, two really big ones. One of them I knew about. Frieren Beyond Journey's End Season 2. That season premieres in a couple days. I will definitely be watching that. Frieren might actually be one of my favorite shows of all time. We'll talk more on that later. Because I'm gonna actually talk quite a bit about Frieren today. Uh, that it's on my docket. And then JoJo, new JoJo season coming out. Steel Ball Run and finally getting an anime adaptation. I am way behind on JoJo. I never even started Stone Ocean, and I want to watch Stone Ocean before I jump into Steel Ball Run. Even though I know Steel Ball Run is basically a reboot of the series. Like it's very beginner friendly, like way more beginner friendly than some of the prior parts. Um, Even so, I want the full JoJo experience. I want Stone Ocean, even though main reason why I didn't watch Stone Ocean is because its release date kind of got fucked up by Netflix, and even before that, I was already hearing like not great things about it. Everyone I talked to who's a JoJo fan is like, yeah, Stone Ocean is the weakest part. Every other part of JoJo is better. Like you can almost skip Stone Ocean if you feel so inclined. Uh, even before Stone Ocean's anime was announced, I was hearing people being like, "Oh, if you do, you need to check out Steel Ball Run. Just read Steel Ball Run. Like you watch Golden Requiem, just skip Stone Ocean and jump into Steel Ball Run's manga." I'm not gonna do that to myself. But yeah, since I have the image pulled up, let's just jump into JJK season 3. Uh, this is a very action heavy show. It's very exposition heavy. Like there's a bit in I think it's episode 2 where you really have to pause in order to read all the rules of the Culling games, and it is very convoluted. The like I'm not really sure how the point system works. I'm sure once Yuji and the others get into the game and get assigned point values, it'll start making sense. Uh, but we had the Yuta Yuji fight, and it was kind of a fake out. I thought Yuta was going to actually try to kill Yuji, and Yuji was going to convince him otherwise, maybe with like Megami and Maki's help. But no, it turns out that Yuta was just conning the higher ups of the Council, and always intended to like fake Yuji's death and then bring him back with reverse curse technique, which is fine. I like Yuta. I I like him much more in this supporting role. In this sort of like, yeah, he's only like a year older than Yuji, but he's kind of on the same tier as Gojo as far as like power goes. Like they even make it a point to point out that he has more cursed energy than Gojo does, and that he's the one that Gojo trusts to like take care of the other students. Uh, and yeah, I like him in the supporting role a lot more than I liked him as a lead in Chapter Zero or JJK Zero. Uh, it's I don't know. There's something about him. He kind of gives. I think it's because of the same thing with Gojo, where like him and Gojo are both just so crazy strong that they're not compelling in the lead role compared to Yuji. Like I like Yuji. Yuji is probably my favorite JJK character, and I feel like I'm in the minority on that. The fight with Naoya and Chozo, everyone's talking about that. That was dope. I like Naoya's powers. I like Nobito's power. Back in season 2 when it first got explained, and I like that. It didn't grind the show to a halt to explain Naoya's power again. Like it's very quick. Like as far as the fights go, it's very quick with explaining like their abilities. Like we get a little more extrapolation on Choso's abilities and how he's able to manipulate blood and how he's able to summon so much blood. Like, oh, because he's a cursed corpse or whatever they're called. I can't remember what the actual terminology is. Basically, you can turn cursed energy into blood because of that. Uh, that's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me a lot. So GGK. Death wound painting. He's a death wound painting, and that gives him the ability to like turn his curse energy into the stuff that his curse technique can control. But no, like Naoya was like fucking styling on him. Naoya's like a speedster type. He is able to move really fast just by visualizing like 24 steps per second. Like they draw the comparison with film during the Naobito Dagon fight in season 2. And like I said, like they don't like waste your time explaining Naoya's abilities because it's like you already saw the explanation with Naobito last season. Just roll with it. He's Naobito-san. He has the same technique. And same thing with like Yuta. Like Rika just fucking shows up, grabs Yuji, and it's just like he's like, what is this? Is this a Shikigami? This doesn't make any sense. And like, well, you would know if you watch JJK Zero. Like this made me glad that I did watch JJK Zero. I don't like JJK Zero. It is like the weakest bit of JJK media I've consumed up to this point. But it is important. It is important to understanding like Geto and Yuta, and also a little bit of Maki. Kind of important to understand Maki. But yeah, I had my problems with JJK Zero, mainly that it felt so much like a filler movie where it's just like, here's a bunch of cameos. And yeah, I know Yuta was created like before Yuji, like he's kind of the rough draft version of Yuji, but there's a reason why we don't always go with the rough draft. Like I think if you like Yuta more than you like Yuji, then you fundamentally disagree with Gege's creative decisions. Like if you like Yuta more than Yuji, then you don't understand why he didn't make Yuta the lead like he was originally going to. Like, Gege Akutami changed his mind for a reason. The opening is sick. I don't like it. It's actually... I think I will like the opening more when I know who these characters are, because there's a ton of characters in this OP. And I recognize a couple of them from the bits of that I've been spoiled on. Like, I know about the comedian guy who's like getting all pumped up with Yuji. I know... That's basically it. Like, I know there's a guy named Hikari. And I know there's like a lawyer guy. I think that's Hikari. Or that might be someone else. Like, I know the Zenin clan guys are in there. Maki gets a lot of bits in the OP along with Mai and the other Zenin clan members. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this being kind of crazy. The Colon games are kind of like a great idea for a shonen battle series, and I'm surprised that more shonen haven't done just a straight up death game like this. Like I can only think of one that even comes close, and it's Naruto with the Forest of Death. And even that wasn't like a straight up death game. That was just a preliminary to weed out the weaklings for the tournament arc that preceded it. And even that, like, the tournament arc was actually just an excuse to get all these players into the village for the real arc, which was the Konoha Crush arc. So the whole cheating exam was just pretense to that. Yeah, I can't think of any other like straight up death game arcs. I can think of plenty of other death game shows. I've talked about Darwin's Game on the show plenty of times, and that's a massive death game anime. There's others out there. A Fate, you can kind of consider Fate a death game to a certain extent, I'm sure. But yeah, like this is just kind of a middle part of the JJK story. Like this isn't the final arc even. There's like one other major arc after the Colon games. That's the Shinjuku Showdown, which I read quite a bit more of because I saw like entire chapters getting spoiled online. I did not do anything to really avoid JJK spoilers as it was coming out, so I know how it ends. I know it has a sequel, so I know like who gets together. Like I know, spoiler alert, Yuta and Maki end up together. Jonathan Rundle said, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what you're doing here. Welcome to the show. I'm just talking anime. Talking about the stuff I've watched this week. Yeah, the main thing I watched, like my big takeaway this week was JJK season 3 is back, and I'm glad it's back. But yeah, next episode we're gonna actually get into the Culling game itself. They're heading towards the location of the Culling games, and fight's gonna happen. Reeling back a bit. The other anime that I watched, per usual, every anime season, there's a bunch of rom-coms that come out, and I try to check out a few of them and see which ones I'm going to like. The only one I checked out this week was You Can't Be in a Rom-Com with Your Childhood Friends, and I think this is actually a bad show. And usually if it's a bad show, I'll just drop it and not really talk about it. I did watch the second episode today. It came out today. This show bothers me. It bothers me a lot. And I talked about this on Twitter, that I am kind of tired of anime playing coy with the fourth wall, where they'll say, "Oh, this only happens in anime," and then they literally live in an anime world where this stuff is commonplace. Like this guy, like these characters are just so delusional. They're so delusional and so just unaware of Jonathan Rundle said, I watched your video where you named a bunch of dinosaurs. Yes, I do love dinosaurs. No paleo media this week. It's just all like comic book stuff and anime. But the characters are in the show, they're kind of annoying. They're all childhood friends, which is a trope. And I'm thinking for my Valentine's Day special this year, I really should talk a lot about... I'm not going to have like a conventional Valentine's Day special like I usually do. Because I'm going to have a live show where I talk about anime tropes. And I'm also going to be doing the podcast with the Dude What the Heck about Ruby shipping. We already recorded that, like I said at the beginning of the show. That's gonna actually be the next podcast that I upload. You do, bye, John. Anyway, because there is something to say about like the reason why childhood friends always lose. And I'll just come out and say it. Like this is something that I could talk about over and over again. This is something that can be reiterated in a future show with more examples. But the reason why childhood friends always lose is because the whole point of the childhood friend is to show the starting line of the characters. The childhood friend represents stagnation, unchanging, the past. It represents all the things that the main character needs to change in order to have their happily ever after. Like, big, perfect example of this is Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. You know, one of my favorite rom-coms, Roshidere, where Masha is the girl that Masachika Suo loved. Masachika cannot find it in his heart to love Masha because he is no longer Masachika Suo. That is not who he is anymore. That's not who he wants to be anymore. That's not who he needs to be anymore. Masha is in the past. Now, Masha is his first love. Masha, he already associates her with heartbreak and with depression. And even though they're like close and she still loves him and he still feels strongly for her, it's not strong enough to overcome the feelings he's starting to feel for Alia. Uh, and then last year, actually I think it was when I first started this live show series, there was the show Can a Boy Girl Friendship Survive, which did an interesting twist on the childhood friend where you had the two different flavors of childhood friends. You had the promised girl that had a very brief encounter with the main character and was his like first love, and then you had the girl who not necessarily grew up with him, but they met in middle school and were became best friends. Uh, and they both catch feelings for the same guy, and they're all kind of aware of each other's feelings. And it's all about like the main character trying to like make that choice. And that was pretty compelling. It was pretty compelling to actually see those characters all on the same page as far as like they're all aware of how each other feel. And it's just about dealing with that and trying to like keep those friendships going while knowing that those choices have to be made. This show, the only thing it really has going for it is that it is about childhood friends, and there doesn't seem to be any other characters that aren't the childhood friends. There's two other girls in the opening. I don't know what role they're going to play because they haven't been introduced yet. I don't know if they're also childhood friends or if they're going to be like brand new people. Uh, but yeah, what I liked about Can a Boy Girlfriend Survive was the toxicity of it. Honestly, that was my favorite thing. Like they were just so toxic to each other. Just the Hamari was a fucking gremlin, and Inamoto was such a thug. Um, but this has a very similar setup, except they're all idiots. They're all idiots who like they can't be honest, they can't be aware, and they are aware because they all know the rom-com tropes, and they're all playing into those tropes. But then, even after they play into those tropes, they have to be like, "Oh no, this never happens in reality," even though it literally just happened in reality. Like I'm not. It's bothering me. It's bothering me a lot. Like the only show I've seen pull it off is Alia. Again, one of my favorite rom coms. The only Alia gets away with it because Yuki is a nerd. Yuki is an otaku, and Yuki is also like a genius, like a mad genius, like an evil scientist type genius, who is using her wealth, her influence, her charm, and her own like skills to contrive these scenarios. Like they feel so contrived because they're actually being manipulated by Yuki. Like Yuki is the one who like um big one that always pops in my mind is in volume 4 of the light novels. So this is going to be in the first couple of season 2. Uh they go swimming. Yuki comes out first, is in the locker room, and she steals Alia's underwear. She steals her bra. And I think steals her panties as well. I know she definitely steals the bra. And so then Alia comes in like, oh no, it looks like I forgot my bra. What am I going to do? Uh, well, I'll just like kind of wear this shirt and kind of like put my arms across my chest and hope that somebody doesn't see me. That hope that nobody sees me. Hope that especially that Masachika doesn't see me. And then what does Yuki do? Oh, the stealing Ollie's bra wasn't enough. She then goes to Masachika and tells him to do something for her that puts him on a path to where he is forced to run into Alia as Alia is trying to sneak back into her room. Like Yuki manipulates both of them in order to like create this horny ass scenario. But it's all like Yuki is doing. Neither one of them are any of the wiser. They think that they just happened upon a rom-com trope that this is just, oh man, I thought this stuff only happens in anime. Like, no, it does only happen in anime organically. This is actually just the work of someone else. This is actually someone's evil genius plan. Uh, Also, the show's just not very funny. Again, I watched the first two episodes and it was I cringed a lot. Like Akari's kind of fun. She's a tsundere, pretty typical. She always shouts at him and then instantly regrets it because she keeps blowing her chances to get closer to him. Uh, but it's just like this is not how childhood friends act. Like, look at this picture. This is not how actual childhood friends act. This is how people who are really horny for each other act in anime. Like, and they are just so dumb. So, I don't know if I'm going to watch episode 3. I do kind of want to see at least what the other two characters have to offer before I completely drop this show. But I have definitely dropped shows for a lot less than this. Notice that I haven't talked about can I ask you one final thing since like episode 4? Because the premise came out. I watched one more episode after that. I was just like, man, this is actually kind of boring. Like this is I got bored with it. Vigilantes is one that I had to binge watch because I kind of got a little sick and tired of watching it on a week to week basis. Like I'm not above dropping shows. And just because I'm talking about it now doesn't mean I'm going to talk about it next week. I mean, it kind of does mean that I'm going to talk about it next week because until I say otherwise, until I announce that I am dropping it, I'm going to keep watching it. So next, I'm going to talk very briefly. What should I talk about next? I have two other things on the docket for today. And they both might take a while. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about this first because I kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago. So I think I could summarize this up much more succinctly. Years ago, I bought the complete Adam West Batman collection, and it's just been sitting on my shelf. This week, I finally cracked it open and watched the first two episodes. Hi Diddle Riddle and Robin in the Middle. The Adam West Batman show is, at least the first two seasons, from what I have heard, are all two-parters. Then season 3 becomes a season of one-parters. I was kind of impressed at how good this fucking thing was. Like, this was hilarious, which I kind of always knew. Like, I've always been a huge fan of the Adam West Batman movie. I quote it on a daily basis. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Success, success, we've done it, we've done it. How is a sparrow, or, was 6 inches tall and is very dangerous? A sparrow with a machine gun. What kind of people are always in a hurry? Russian people. Holy Polaris! At land you may command, but at sea it is me. Like, this is just a instantly quotable movie. Like, great stuff. And I've seen a couple episodes of the TV show just through passing and through cultural osmosis. Like, I've seen one of the Penguin episodes I remember. I saw the Mr. Freeze episode. I've seen the Egghead episode with Vincent Price as Egghead. I've seen one of the Catwoman episodes because I've seen Julie Newmar as Catwoman. I think that's it. Like I've seen maybe like 10 to anywhere between like 10 to 15 episodes of the Adam West Batman show. Probably closer to 10. Probably like 12. Because I had like 6 two-parters. I hadn't seen this one. I hadn't actually seen any of the Riddler episodes. So I'm glad that I started off with the Riddler. It is kind of weird that where was this filmed? It's got to be California, right? Yeah, Los Angeles. It is kind of funny that Gotham City, which is it never has a consistent place. Like every version of Gotham City I've seen is different. Like a lot of times it's New York, sometimes it's Boston, or in Young Justice it's in like Delaware. Is like where it was on the map. But I've also seen it in Massachusetts and New York. In the Chris Nolan movies, it's basically just Chicago. Uh, the Robert Pattinson Batman is a lot more like Detroit. A little bit of like Montreal in there for some reason. Whereas this is literally like a small town on the outskirts of Los Angeles. Like it's very Mediterranean, very like Malibu. That is what it actually looks like. It looks like Malibu, California. Uh, lot of palm trees and short buildings and port towns. Like it looks like fucking Pete's Dragons in again I'm thinking of the '60s movie. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb scene where it's like this very like turn of the century looking port town. And of course this is campy as all hell. Uh but I was still impressed with it. I was impressed at how succinctly they got into Batman's motivation or Bruce Wayne's motivation. Like he's having like this meeting with like shareholders or whatever about some charity that he's doing, and he's like, "No, if only we were able to fix these economic hardships when I was a young boy, perhaps my parents would still be alive." Like they straight up address that stuff. Uh, there's a bit where he's helping Dick Grayson with his homework, his algebra homework. Uh, he talks about like going on a fishing trip with his young ward in order to, uh, you know, throw people off of the fact that he's Batman and Dick Grayson's Robin. Uh, but then fucking Frank Gorshin as the Riddler is so good. He is so good in this. He was good in the movie too. He was actually my favorite part of the '60s Batman movie. Uh, but his plan in this is so unhinged and it's so brilliant. It's very similar to something that happened 30 years later. Batman the Animated Series episode with Riddler. The final appearance of Riddler in Batman the Animated Series actually was like Volume 3. Riddler's what's it called? Riddler's Revenge, was it? Riddler's Reform. Where like Riddler's just gotten out, he served his time, but he's back at it again. Except maybe he's not, because when Batman tries to bust him for theft, it turns out that no, he actually bought the piece fair and square, and now he's suing Batman for damages and assault. And it's like, oh my god, why aren't there more stories about people suing Batman? I know they exist. Like I know Riddler's Reform tried to do something like that. There was a Penguin episode that tried to do that, where he was trying to go, but Penguin was actually legit trying to go straight, or at least that's what it seemed. There's a Poison Ivy episode where she didn't really want to go straight. She was just pretending in order to like fuck with Batman. And then of course you have the famous episode Trial, where Batman gets put on trial for being responsible for a lot of his villains' origin stories. With Joker as the judge. Funny episode. Uh, does a little bother me that they capture Robin in this episode and they have him like drugged. That's another thing. They drug Batman, and Batman has to like get driven home or get driven away by the police, or he has to walk home or call a cab or something. I can't remember exactly how he gets out of that. But yeah, he gets too drunk to drive because he gets drugged. Um, the girl, the henchwoman, disguising herself as Robin was great, and I love that Batman caught on in a very realistic way. Uh, and then she falls in the Batman nuclear reactor, the Batcave nuclear reactor. Uh, from what I have heard, apparently, like Hinch person gets brought into the Batcave and then dies as like a stock, like a reoccurring thing in the Adam West Batman show. So it's fun to see them, come right out and do it in the very first episode. They also do it in the movie. Uh, with a Commodore Schmidt Lab a ring for his tea. Another thing I quote all the time from the '60s show. But Burgess Meredith's Penguin, like disguising himself as Commodore Schmidt Lab, going to the Batcave, and then using their water faucet to generate those dehydrated henchmen to fight Batman, and they all pop into nothing. Uh, But yeah, seeing Frank Gorshin, not in the Riddler suit, I have put it in here. This is very like '60s spandex, Silver Age looking Riddler. But he also wears the suit, like the nice like cashmere like suit and tie with the bowler hat version of Riddler suit. And seeing him in that, I was like, man, Matt Reeves robbed us. Like, can you imagine Paul Dano rocking that? Like, that would look so fucking good. But Matt Reeves is such a fucking edgy, pretentious hipster. Just I hate it. I don't hate that movie, but it bothers me. It bothers me a lot. And it bothers me that so many people heralded The Batman as the best Batman movie ever when it's so fucking not. Uh and I'm glad that people are starting to kind of like turn around on it. Like as comics, uh maybe I'm just being more and more exposed to the comic side of Twitter. But I think people seeing the Superman movie that came out last year and the Fantastic Four and kind of like getting more into the DC side of comics again and realizing that Batman used to be fun, that Batman can still be fun, and that like the animated series was fun. The Batman on WB was fun. Young Justice, as a kind of gloomy and edgelord as that was, had its fun moments too. Uh, and the movies just aren't. Like so many of the movies just kind of suck. They're not good adaptations. But yeah, it's people who like Matt Reeves' interpretation of Gotham are all delusional. Uh, I heard, well, oh god, what was it on Twitter? I responded to. It actually got a lot of likes when I responded to it. Oh yeah, it was someone saying like, "Oh, it's funny to me that Matt Reeves gets accused of being ashamed of Batman's mythos by telling stories about the mob, cops, and corruption, when the thing fans regularly regard as the best Batman film ever is about the mob, cops, and corruption." Yeah, but it's also a Joker story, and it's a story where a girl puts on a Halloween mask and a hook and uses smoke and mirrors to exact her revenge. But even if that wasn't the case, like people don't criticize Matt Reeves for making mob stories. We criticize him for doing dumb, pretentious shit like changing Penguin's name and making Riddler into a Timu Zodiac killer. That was what I posted on Twitter in response to that. Like, people are really delusional. They really think they're gonna do Clayface. They might, but it ain't gonna be the Clayface you want. It'll be a guy who just wears masks. does like the Mission Impossible masks. That's all it's going to be. You couldn't even get Riddler wearing a bowler hat. You couldn't even get someone named Oswald Cobblepot. Oswald is a real name. Cobblepot is a real last name. Oswald Cobblepot is a real name. It is also the Penguin's name. Like, you ain't getting Catwoman for real. You're just getting a tough on her luck street urchin girl. You ain't gonna get the Joker. You're gonna just get another guy in clown makeup. You're gonna get another Heath Ledger wannabe. You ain't gonna get Ra's al Ghul. You're gonna get another just generic ninja boss. But they might not even use the word ninja. That might be a little too comic booky for Matt Reeves' taste. Oh, and people are absolutely delusional if they think they're going to do Robin. Like, I know Robert Pattinson wants there to be a Robin in the Batman show, or in his Batman movies, but I don't see it happening. I don't see Matt Reeves being like, yeah, let's have a guy dress up in red, green, and yellow spandex. Like, it's going to be like black tactical armor bullshit if they do it at all. Uh, which would still actually be better than what they did in Dark Knight Rises. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. The whole Donald Robin Blake thing is fucking shameful. Like, Chris Nolan, love him, love most of his movies, but that was just bullshit. But yeah, as I watch these episodes, I'll continue kind of like report on them. I need to open up another doc and kind of like take notes on these, and I might even do like a top 10 best once I get through all of them. Uh, I need to do that with Batman the Animated Series too. I have my list. I have all the notes. I have a whole doc where I have all the episodes broken down, described, ranked, rated. I just need to find a week where I can do that as my live show. And put together like a slideshow with all the title cards. But there's 114 of those things. There's 114 Batman the Animated Series episodes, and only like 10 of them are two-parters. Uh, but yeah, that's on the list of things to potentially do in between seasons, or if I end up dropping, one of these shows. I can just be like, you know what, I'm gonna skip talking about JJK this week and talk about Batman the Anime Series or Superman the Anime Series. I also got that for Superman the Anime Series, though I don't think I ever ended up ranking the episodes. I did give them like the thumbs up, thumbs down treatment. Same thing with Clone Wars. I actually have those notes for whenever Dude What the Heck and I decide to do a Clone Wars podcast. That might be how we do that. All right, so next and last on the docket, Frieren Season 2 is coming out this week, and I am excited. I think I said this on Twitter a while back. Frieren might be my favorite show of all time. Might be. I can't say that for certain because it doesn't have an ending. Like, even the manga is still ongoing. So we got at least another, like, 3-4 seasons left in Frieren before I can make that final judgment. But it has all the elements and all the ingredients to surpass Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood on my list. This show means something to me in a way that so few shows have, and nothing that I've watched as an adult has had this kind of stranglehold on me. Uh, Everything else that has lived this level of rent free in my head is stuff that I watched as a kid. Like Full Metal Alchemist, I first watched when I was 10 years old. Naruto, I first started watching when I was 13. Dragon Ball, I was like 8. Bleach, I was 13. One Piece, I was like 14, 15 when I watched the 4Kids version of that. 15, 14, yeah. 2007. I'd have been like 13, 14. And I definitely got into One Piece after I had already gotten into Bleach and Naruto. I was like 25 when I first started reading the manga. Uh, Frieren is very cozy. It's very warm. I love the characters. I love the world. It's not like a super unique world. Like there's no innate selling point. It just does everything it does very well. It's just very smartly written, very maturely written. Uh, and it does seem to be building to something like very cathartic with them trying to go see Himmel in the end. Can't remember what the name of the heaven place is. But season 2 looks intense. It's definitely going to be justifying the exam arc that it had. With bringing in I know Werble's back as is Methode. Yeah, I'm excited for that. It is a shame that it's only going to be 10 episodes long. That's kind of worrying because apparently that's not enough episodes to get into the big arc that everyone is excited for. Which fine, I guess. Like I'm not gonna be picky about that, especially for a show that kind of already says that, like, season 2's coming, season 3 is already announced. It's not gonna get canceled. We're not gonna end it prematurely. The show makes a lot of money. It's critically acclaimed, and that's just not how the anime industry is anymore. Like even if it takes a while, seasons like we really need Nisekoi to come back. Neither here nor there, but any chance I get to bring this up, I will. Nisekoi needs to come back. It's kind of like the last show that got ended prematurely, uh, with no return in sight. Uh, I would also do with like a Soul Eater reboot. I was hoping that, Trigun Maximum would actually get an honest to God adaptation, but what we got instead was Trigun Stampede, which is fucking horrible. And its fans should be ashamed of themselves. Like, no. No. Absolutely not. Uh, yeah, I think that's all I have on Frieren for now. I talked about it in a video about, working towards the happily ever after, and finding that journey beyond the journey's end, and how I think that's an important thing for your characters to have. What are they fighting for? Where are they going? What is the goal they hope to achieve? This is why comic book stories fail a lot of times. and why I think manga is just much more satisfying. Regardless of the genres or conventions or the actual like storytelling or dialogue, like these mangas and animes just end up being a lot more satisfying because they have endings. They have conclusions. Like even the ones that keep getting dragged on, like Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball has like three different points where you can be like, okay, that's it, it's over, it's done, nothing else after this matters. So I'll just a cash grab after this. Where it's like, what is the end goal of a Superman or a Batman? They'll never get it. They'll never be allowed to get it. They'll never be allowed to have their happily ever after. No, Dick Grayson will never be allowed to surpass Batman. Superman will never be allowed to bring his better tomorrow. Batman will never be allowed to save Gotham. To save Gotham's soul. Clean up Gotham permanently. Spider-Man will never allowed to like catch a break for and live happily ever after. Like they are just determined to keep throwing that kid through the ringer. Say kid as if he isn't like a 32-year-old man himself. They'll just keep regressing his age. Like every time he starts to grow up and grow mature, they'll be like, no, he's like a teenager again. DC's even worse about that. So yeah, like I'll take that's a big reason why manga is outselling comic books. Manga, they're a lot easier to get into. You just start with you just pick a premise you like, uh, find a manga that fits that premise, start at volume one. But you don't need to have like a decoder ring to figure out what runs to like you don't need a recommended reading list or a definitive reading list like you do with comic book characters. There's a whole lot of other things. And I'm not the first person, like I'm not saying anything new and saying any of this. I'm just saying that Frieren kind of embodies that. That's all I actually have for today. I was hoping to go for like a little over an hour, but I guess I'll cut it 7 minutes short. Thank you guys for watching again. Join me next time we talk about more JJK and maybe get some Sakura stuff going. Uh, or who knows? Maybe I'll throw you guys a curveball again and do something a little more structured. But yeah, have a good day.